All right, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. I want to thank you for joining me. I also hope you had an opportunity to see yesterday's video. It was packed to the brim with all the day's news. If not, you can always find my daily reports under the news playlist on my channel. New videos come out Sunday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please, if you could, also just make sure that you're still subscribed or consider subscribing if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you got a better chance of seeing the videos I put out when they're actually released. If you could also consider sharing this video and liking it when you're all done, it really does help a lot for me to break through the algorithm that they're using to try to destroy channels like this. And also so that patriots like you and others like you can see these videos and get the real news every day. First up today, we have a new article from Neon Revolt. It looks like Hot Wheels, or Frederick Brennan, as he's also known, has finally poked the bear a little too much, and Jim and Ron at 8kun are finally fighting back. Brennan was served with an actual criminal indictment yesterday, which could result in actual jail time. We also have coverage of Joe diGenova and Victoria Toensing. They were speaking with Lou Dobbs about the implications of the impending IG report. It turns out it's been delayed due to a grand jury that's been impaneled by U.S. Attorney John Durham. You gotta love it. Also, it turns out the attorney for fake whistleblower Eric Charamella was tweeting about the coup to remove Donald Trump all the way back in 2017. Obviously, he's been part of it all along. More than that, President Trump actually read it in the middle of his rally last night. We have details on the release of the IG report from John Solomon. Adam Schiff has inadvertently released Eric Charamella's name in the transcript of Bill Taylor, so now the cat's officially out of the bag. Also, it turns out in that transcript, Bill Taylor's source for Trump being guilty of quid pro quo was just the fake news New York Times. Also, Methods has sent over information on a treasure trove of newly released internal Facebook documents, and they don't look good for Mark Zuckerberg and the gang. And finally, 2 former Twitter employees have been charged as spies for Saudi Arabia. Not too surprising when you realize Twitter is owned by a Saudi sheikh with ties to the Clinton Foundation. So everyone sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. Imagine if you had received a personal invitation to invest $50 in Uber when it was a startup. On IPO day, you could have made $248,250. That same $50 invested in Amazon before it IPO'd could have made you over $7 million. Mike Markula was Apple's first angel investor, and on IPO day, his windfall was already up by 220,552%. But that's when Apple was only worth $1.8 billion. Think about how much Markula's net worth grew as Apple blazed a path to becoming the first $1 trillion company in U.S. history. And without him, iPhones, Apple Watches, iPads, and other devices we use in our daily lives may have never been invented. Look at these surprising returns from these popular startup companies. Some earning 583,264% revenue surges. What would you rather be? The angel investor or the IPO investor? The choice is clear as day. How would you feel if you could lock in a ground floor opportunity in the hottest startups this year that everybody's fighting over? Fortunately, Shark Tank's Robert Herjavec and his team of ultra-successful angel investors are here to help deliver angel deals with life-changing upsides delivered to you on a silver platter. Watch the free video at www.getangelrich.com or click the link in the description to see how you can participate in these potentially lucrative deals before the mainstream even finds out about them. Once again, that's www.getangelrich.com. All right, guys, thank you for sticking around. First off today, we have this tweet from my good friend and fellow researcher Methods. It is about that indictment for Frederick Brennan. He says, for those following the 8kun saga, I highly suggest you check out this Neon Revolt article. The quote says, it's a criminal indictment with actual jail time attached if proven guilty. Considering everything that Brennan has been doing to stifle 8chan, now 8kun, from coming back, I think it's not going to be too difficult. He's been very vocal all over Twitter. So let's take a look at the article from Neon Revolt. All right, guys, let's get into it. Breaking exclusive, the criminal indictment against Frederick Brennan. Well, folks, it seems like the Watkins have finally hit back at Frederick Brennan after Brennan's relentless efforts to repeatedly deplatform their new websites across multiple vendors have come to a head. For earlier today, the Watkins served Brennan with a subpoena, and Brennan almost immediately took to Twitter to talk about it. Here he is. He quotes this quote from Ron, Code Monkey Z, asking if there are any indie reporters unaffiliated with mainstream publications that are interested in the 8-Kun saga. I did message Ron, and I did reply to that tweet. If anybody else here would like to see me interview Ron and Jim, please do go comment and let him know. Now, Brennan is saying that Ron and Jim can't withstand the scrutiny of mainstream publications. And then he says, I can't wait to figure out in court what Jim Watkins actually believes regarding our favorite Anon. Now, he actually then uploaded the entire criminal indictment, or rather portions of the criminal indictment, to a website called Kiwi Farms, acting like it wasn't something that he should be worried about. Neon continues and says he then went to Kiwi Farms to upload a copy of the lawsuit, where the users of the forum immediately began calling it the lawsuit. And here it is right there. But for whatever reason, Brennan left out a number of items in the indictment itself. One can speculate as to why certain items were missing from Brennan's upload, since he was given the full indictment. Brennan also mistakenly referred to the indictment as a civil lawsuit, but it's not a civil lawsuit. It's a criminal indictment with actual jail time attached if proven guilty. And because this is a libel lawsuit in which the Watkins have to prove actual malice, given Brennan's abundant tweeting history and the number of items attached to the indictment itself, one has to wonder how difficult actual malice will be to prove, especially given items like this. Let's take a look at this tweet from Hot Wheels. He says, what argument have I even made? Have you read my tweets, or are you projecting some argument an imaginary progressive would make onto me? He says, I hate Jim Watkins. I feel wronged by Jim. I hate 8chan. I regret giving up 8chan. I feel slighted by the rebrand. This is personal for me. Certainly looks like that tweet on its own would be enough to prove malice. He's showing that he has a bias towards Jim Watkins, and he wants to bring the site down that he created now because it's not in his hands. And in the breaking exclusive of this article, I have obtained a redacted copy of the full criminal indictment Frederick Brennan now faces, so you can see for yourself the pieces that were previously omitted, for whatever reason, by Brennan. And here it's from the Republic of the Philippines Department of Justice National Prosecution Service. It is James Arthur Watkins versus Frederick Robert Brennan, and violation of Section 4CA. This is otherwise known as the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. This is very interesting. You know, it makes me wonder if Hot Wheels had any direct actions in play to help bring down the website. I mean, there were tons of attacks coming at the website, so was he directing any of those denial of service attacks? I think we're going to find out before too long. Should the Watkins prove their case in a court of law, Brennan will be facing serious jail time. And of course, one has to wonder about what consequences may face any who aided and abetted him in his efforts against the Watkins. At any rate, it's clear that the Watkins are now going on the offensive and are willing to pursue legal action where and when they see fit. I want to say I'm very proud of the Watkins for bringing this suit against Brennan. This is clearly a lot different than a civil lawsuit, with actual jail time attached if they can prove that Brennan had a action of malice against them. It sure looks like it to me. Everything I've seen Brennan out there tweeting and talking about this website and being taken offline and stopping it from coming online, it really did appear to me that there was quite a bit of malice at play. So we're going to continue to follow this story, and hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to interview Ron and Jim, and we can get their thoughts. All right, Joe diGenova and Victoria Toensing on Lou Dobbs giving their thoughts on what's going on with the IG report. It's going to be devastating. It's going to ruin careers. Joe diGenova says the IG report has been delayed due to the John Durham grand jury, and several Obama DOJ officials will be indicted. Man, this is good. Attorneys and partners Victoria Toensing and Joe diGenova joined Lou Dobbs on Wednesday night to discuss the latest delay to the release of the much-anticipated Inspector General report on FISA abuse. Joe diGenova told Lou Dobbs that the report was delayed this time because of prosecutor John Durham's grand jury. diGenova says we will see several indictments and lives ruined after the Horowitz report is revealed. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the clip. This is going to be awesome.
No, but I can tell you this, and we have darn good sources for this. It's going to be very bad for the people in the Obama administration. As somebody, my source said to me, it's going to be worse than you can imagine.
Well, that is a heck of a tease, Victoria. That I'm already sort of chomping at the bit to get the thing. Joe, your thoughts on that Horowitz report? It doesn't sound like it's going to be a tepid matter. Explosive, would you say?
I would say explosive, and I would say for people at the highest levels of the FBI and at the highest levels of the Justice Department, more important, the Justice Department, it's going to be devastating. It's going to ruin careers. It's going to make people have bar problems. Because what's clear, and now we know, is that the senior levels of the Obama Justice Department were complicit in knowingly submitting materially false applications to the FISA court for an illegitimate counterintelligence purpose, not for a legitimate purpose, but to spy on Americans for political purposes. And it really will end up being the beginning of the greatest political scandal in history. And it's being held up partially because of John Durham's new grand jury, which, by the way, exists for one reason and one reason only, because people are going to be indicted.
All right, so Joe and Victoria theorizing that this is going to be very bad for the Obama Justice Department and all the holdovers that are still there in the Trump Justice Department. Senior leadership, guys. This was about senior leadership running an illegal counterintelligence operation, lying to the FISA court. These people are looking at jail time. And as he said, just leaking that call between Flynn and Kislyak in and of itself is a 20-year felony. It's great that we get confirmation that John Durham has impaneled a grand jury, and it looks like he is completely picking apart every single bit of Spygate from the very beginning until where we're at right now. And I think, guys, that finally this is exactly what we needed to see these people get punished for the deeds they've done. It will have been well worth the wait when it finally happens, because something tells me that John Durham is going to take this as far as he can go. This guy does not make deals. This guy does not give people passes. He specializes in political corruption and organized crime, and that is exactly what we have here when you take a look and see what the United States has become over these last several decades. All right, breaking news from Paul Sperry. It looks like Eric Ciaramella's internet footprint, which included photos and bios, began to be scrubbed beginning in early September, and that was right after the National Intelligence Director transmitted the whistleblower letter to Congress. This is very similar to the erasing of the digital footprint of the Dems' other whistleblower, Christine Blasey Ford. Now, unfortunately, his lawyer forgot to do the same thing. Mark Zaid posted a tweet in 2017 that said the coup has started. This is very interesting, considering the fact that he is a lawyer for Clowns in America whistleblowers and also for Eric Ciaramella. And from what we know so far, the current participants in the latest coup attempt to remove Donald Trump include a who's who of liberal politicians. Activist attorney Mark Zaid, who represents the anti-Trump Clowns in America whistleblower Eric Ciaramella, is linked to Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta. Zaid's old tweets are coming back to haunt him. He was caught admitting his goal to remove Trump from office. Mark Zaid, a committed leftist, tweeted in 2017 that we get rid of President Trump. He said, "It's very scary. We will get rid of him, and this country is strong enough to survive even him and his supporters. We have to." Sounds like Mark would like to erase over half the citizenship here in America. Just get rid of people because they don't have the right political opinion, or rather, the same political opinion as him. In even more damning 2017 tweets, Mark Zaid actually admits he is orchestrating a coup, and President Trump's camp is aware of Zaid's tweets. The whistleblower's lawyer gave away the game. This was from Trump's campaign communications director, Tim Murtaugh. It was always the Democrats' plan to stage a coup and impeach President Trump, and all they ever needed was the right scheme. They whiffed on Mueller, so now they've settled on the perfectly fine Ukraine call. This proves this was orchestrated from the beginning, and here is the tweet from Mark Zaid. It says, "Coup has started. First of many steps. Hashtag rebellion. Hashtag impeachment will follow ultimately. #lawyers. Now, Zaid tweeted this on January 30th, 2017, barely a week after President Trump's inauguration day. And it was actually, he also said the same thing in a reply to President Trump. I tweeted that, it's on my timeline. Zaid, in response to a tweet from President Trump on the same day, once again boasted of a coup to remove him from office. Coup has started. As one falls, two more will take their place. Rebellion, impeachment, Zaid said, admitting that the deep state will continue to make up new scandals with one saboteur after another until one does the trick and removes Trump from office. Very, very shocking information. Why is it shocking? Because he was stupid enough to tweet it out and publicly leave it for other people like us to find. I don't understand how anyone can look at what the Democrats and these coup plotters have done and not admit to themselves and others that this was a coordinated campaign, and it has been the entire time. There's no coincidence about the fact that Mark Zaid is now involved as the lawyer for whistleblower Eric Ciaramella. He was always going to be the lawyer for Eric Ciaramella, and he was always taking actions behind the scenes to try to remove President Trump. Well, guess what, Mark? It's not going to work. We got you. We're onto your game. President Trump is going to have another 4 more years, and America is going to get even greater. Now, a.k.a. Real Dirty, the Dirty Truth on Twitter, put out this little clip from John Solomon's interview, I believe, with Sean Hannity. He says the IG report probably won't be out before November 18th, but he's hearing we could get a report early as next week about another investigation we knew nothing about. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Sure. When are we getting the IG report? What are your sources telling you? I'm hearing what is going to come out. The words I've got will shock the conscience. Yeah, I've heard this for a long time.
That's exactly a term I've heard. That's a very similar term. Here's what I'm hearing. And again, it's like waiting for Godot, so I don't want to keep teasing people. But remember, it was supposed to come out in May and June. Then you and I discovered that famous document, the Cadillac Steele document. That led to new investigation. It delayed the report until September, October. Michael, or the IG,
Horowitz.
Finished the report. Horowitz, he finished the report. He's kicked it over to the Justice Department. My understanding is the Justice Department asked the IG for a little more analysis. What regulations and laws do you think might be broken? Could you bear that out in the report so the American public could see that? That work is being wrapped up now, and I am hearing the most likely release date for the FISA report is going to be the week of November 18th, so about 2 weeks from now. But
I heard
week,
just before Thanksgiving, so that would be a week before, a week and a half before Thanksgiving.
That's right. You're in the right. That's what I'm hearing too. Now things could change, and it seems like the grand tease every time we talk about this. But we are getting closer to the release of a very explosive report. I am hearing that as early as next week, it is possible that the IG is going to release another report that we knew nothing about. It was flying below the radar. I'm going to talk about this on your show tonight, but I can give you a little tease. It appears the IG has finished an investigation into the FBI's management of human sources, what we would call informants, people like Christopher Steele. They found some widespread problems, particularly the FBI's failure to react when a red alert, a red flag is raised about the credibility of an informant, the failure to address that, maybe pull them out of rotation, inform the courts. Does that sound familiar with what we learned about Christopher Steele? All of those things at the State Department that Bruce Orr was warning about? It appears that this was a more systemic problem inside the Bureau, and that report could come out as early as next week. That could be explosive.
Well, that is incredible news. There was a whole other investigation taking place on the credibility of witnesses used by the FBI, specifically people like Christopher Steele. This is great news, guys. We've been saying for a long time there are widespread problems at the FBI, things that they need to take a look at, and lots of people were saying that Christopher Wray was doing nothing. Well, I've always said that we should trust Wray. I've always said that Christopher Wray is there to do something, and frankly, if he had been talking about this publicly, making it look like he was actually taking the actions that he needed to clean that place up, I bet you he would have gotten a lot of pushback and perhaps might not have even been confirmed by the Dems. Well, guys, this is great news, and it looks like the reason that we haven't gotten that IG report yet is because they keep coming across new evidence. Do you guys want them to put it out before it's ready? I know I don't. I want it to come out when it's perfect, and that is the only way that we're going to get the full story and see justice. Well, guys, it was only yesterday that whistleblower attorney Mark Zaid was trying to call out President Trump and Rand Paul, saying that if they release the name of the whistleblower, Eric Ciaramella, that they would be responsible for any harm that came to him. Well, Adam Schiff accidentally leaked the name himself, and he put it out in Bill Taylor's transcript. Oops. The anti-Trump whistleblower's attorneys are threatening anyone who releases the name of their client, Eric Ciaramella, to the public. But does that include shifty Adam Schiff? Well, Benny Johnson posted an amazing find from the Bill Taylor transcript that was released on Wednesday. Adam Schiff and his staff did not redact the name of their close buddy, Eric Ciaramella. It's on page 236. And there we go. We can see it right there, plain as day. And here is Benny Johnson's tweet. Why is Eric Ciaramella's name in the congressional impeachment testimony? Dems said they would react to the name of the whistleblower. 2 explanations. Ciaramella is not the whistleblower. Or 2, Dems messed up big time and printed the name of the leaker in their own document. I tend to think that that's what happened. Adam Schiff must have caught the error and has now pulled the transcript from the House website. Yep, that's exactly what they did. However, NBC News and other outlets still have the PDF up with Ciaramella's name in the document on page 236. So NBC and other media outlets have finally outed the fake whistleblower. Schiff's press release on the House website with a link to the original transcript and a link to Schiff's summary, such is still up, but the full transcript is not. Well, Adam Schiff screwed up. He released Eric Ciaramella's name. He tried to take the document down. It was too late. All of the mainstream media outlets have that document, and they are using it to report. So now everyone can use the name Eric Ciaramella without fear of reprisal. Now, let's be honest. Nothing is going to happen to this guy. If something does befall him, then I tend to think it's going to be from his employers. It's not going to be from anyone on our side of the aisle. It's not going to be from President Trump, and it's certainly not going to be Rand Paul. But now his name is out there, and it's over and done with. All right, now speaking about Bill Taylor's testimony, he admitted that his sole source for information on Trump-Ukraine dealings related to the Biden crime family was the fake news New York Times. Circular firing squad, yet again. House investigators on Wednesday released the transcript of Schiff's star impeachment witness Bill Taylor's testimony to the Intel Committee to the public. Bill Taylor is the anti-Trump charged affairs of the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine and Schiff's star witness, who was also involved with the whistleblower early on. Now, recall, newly released travel documents revealed that Adam Schiff's staffer took a Burisma Group-funded trip to Ukraine 12 days after the whistleblower filed a complaint against Trump and met with the U.S. Ambassador Bill Taylor. Bill Taylor crumbled under Congressman Lee Zeldin's questioning and admitted his source for information about Trump's dealing with Ukraine related to the Biden crime family and Burisma was the fake news New York Times. The New York Republican lawmaker blasted Bill Taylor on Wednesday for using the Times as his sole source of information, for believing the reason President Trump wanted Ukraine to investigate Ukrainians' interference with the 2016 election and Burisma Holdings was just to get dirt on Biden. Bill Taylor does not have firsthand knowledge of Trump's dealings with Ukraine. In fact, the text message from Bill Taylor expressing his alarm over the Trump withholding military aid referenced a Politico article, not independent information he received. Zeldin asked, what was Trump's goal of requesting investigations into 2016 election and Burisma? As I understand it, from one of maybe the article in the New York Times about Mr. Giuliani's interest in Burisma, in that article he describes, and I think he quotes Giuliani at some length, that article indicates that Giuliani was interested in getting some information on Vice President Biden that would be useful to Mr. Giuliani's client, Bill Taylor replied. When Congressman Zeldin pushed Taylor, he admitted the only source for that info that he had was fake news New York Times. Zeldin asked, so do you have any other source that the president's goal in making this request was anything other than the New York Times? And he said, I have not talked to the president. I have no other information from what the president is thinking, Bill Taylor replied. Now, the exchange between Taylor and Congressman John Ratcliffe also totally destroyed the quid pro quo narrative. So much for Schiff's star witness in his sham impeachment inquiry. Bill Taylor is scheduled to publicly testify before another committee next Wednesday. Well, I think that about does it. It's pretty clear here that there was no quid pro quo. No one has evidence of quid pro quo. No one thought that the president honestly wanted quid pro quo. They're just reading these articles that are put out by the fake news that want to believe that the president is looking to engage in quid pro quo, while at the same time completely ignoring the very, very clear evidence of the Biden crime family that stretches from here to the Ukraine. All right. Now, in a tweet posted by Methods earlier, he says, "Get your shovels, fam." Facebook apparently fought to keep a trove of thousands of explosive internal documents private, but they failed, and now we have them. Let's take a look at the reporting. All right, so a trove of internal documents and emails were trying to be kept secret by Mark Zuckerberg and others at Facebook. Unfortunately for them, they were just published online in full. An explosive trove of nearly 4,000 pages of confidential internal Facebook documents has been made public, shedding unprecedented light on the inner workings of the Silicon Valley social networking giant. On Wednesday, investigative reporter Duncan Campbell released a vast swath of internal emails, reports, and other sensitive documents from the early 2010s that detail Facebook's internal approach to privacy and how it worked with app developers and handled their access to user data. The documents were originally compiled as part of a lawsuit that the startup 643 brought against Facebook for cutting off its bikini photo app's access to the developer platform. The documents were supposed to remain under seal, but they were leaked. Some of the documents had already been made public before Wednesday. The British Parliament's Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Committee published hundreds of pages in a report in December, but they were seized from 643's founder, Ted Kramer, when he visited the UK. And in the months before he put up the entire trove of documents into the public domain, Campbell shared them with journalists at NBC News and other outlets, who then published several stories about them. Campbell said that he was sent the documents in February, the same day that the committee published its final report, and that the sender was anonymous. Facebook had fought vigorously against the release of these documents, arguing that they do not paint a balanced picture of its activities. In an emailed statement, a company representative told Business Insider, "These old documents have been taken out of context by someone with an agenda against Facebook and have been distributed publicly with a total disregard for U.S. law." Business Insider is combing through the documents and will update the story with our findings, but here are some of the key revelations from the document dump, including from reports published earlier from the leaks. First off, Facebook wielded its control over user data to hobble rivals like YouTube, Twitter, and Amazon. The company benefited its friends even as it took aggressive actions to block rival companies' access while framing its actions as necessary to protect user privacy. Facebook executives quietly planned a data policy switcheroo. Facebook began cutting off access to user data for app developers from 2012 to squash potential rivals while presenting the move to the general public as a boon for user privacy. Reuters reported this on Wednesday, citing these leaked documents. Facebook considered charging companies to access user data. Documents made public in late 2018 revealed that from 2012 to 2014, Facebook was contemplating forcing companies to pay to access users' data, but it ultimately didn't go through with it. Facebook also whitelisted certain companies to allow them more extensive access to user data, even after it locked down its own developer platform throughout 2014 and 2015. TechCrunch reported in December that it is not clear that there was any user consent for this, nor how Facebook decided which companies should be whitelisted or not. Facebook also planned to spy on the locations of Android users. Citing the documents, Computer Weekly reported in February that Facebook planned to use its Android app to track the location of its customers and to allow advertisers to send political advertising and invites to dating sites to single people. Now, the leak includes nearly 4,000 pages of internal documents, nearly 3,000 pages of other exhibits from the case, and hundreds of pages of other pieces of legal documentation. Guys, what have I been saying to you since the very beginning? Delete your Facebook. Facebook has unprecedented access to your information. There has been evidence in the past that they were sharing this data on a selective basis with other companies, but here we can clearly see it. It's in the documents themselves. Facebook was selectively sharing its user data with certain companies, and they were doing it in a manner that was really not in line with what they were telling people publicly. I've heard reports in the past that people had noticed that they were getting served ads based on certain things that they were talking about in conversations with people, times when they didn't even think that their phone was on or when they did not have the Facebook app open. So that means that Facebook was spying on Android users when they were not supposed to, and then they were using that information to serve up targeted ads. How deep does this go? Remember when Patrick Ryan was on the show, we had a long talk about this and the stuff that people are using your data for. Well, I think that we're going to get a lot more information coming up, and we're going to continue to follow this story. All right, guys, and finally for today, some more social media news. 2 former Twitter employees and a Saudi national are charged as acting as illegal agents of Saudi Arabia. They allegedly acted as illegal agents of a foreign government by providing information about Twitter users to representatives of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Those people are Ali Al-Zabara, Ahmed Abu Mamo, and Ahmed Al-Muteri, a.k.a. Ahmed Al-Jabreen. And they were charged for their respective roles in accessing private information in the accounts of certain Twitter users and providing that information to officials of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, Al-Buama was arrested in Seattle, Washington on November 5th, and all 3 defendants are charged with acting as illegal agents of a foreign government. Al-Buama is also charged with destroying, altering, or falsifying records in a federal investigation. This is clearly spying for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And just imagine what they could glean from someone's Twitter user data. They could get location information. They could get personal information. This is all stuff that people would want if they were spying on important VIPs. So who do you think it was? It could have been the president. Could have been people that were considered enemies of the government of Saudi Arabia. The list goes on and on. But any way you cut it, these people are in a lot of trouble. And clearly, they were profiting from what they were doing. Not necessarily this is a political thing or an ideological thing, but definitely financial motivations for these people to steal this information and then give it to the Saudi government. Well, guys, I think the best news of the day is the information that John Durham has impaneled that grand jury and that the IG report is going to be bigger and better than we ever could have imagined because they just keep finding more things they have to add to it. Bad news for the coup plotters, bad news for Hot Wheels, and bad news for the social media companies. All right, guys, I think that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. I just wanted to say one more thing. Thank you very much to all my patrons. Thank you to everyone who supports this channel. If anyone wants to help out, there are links in the description of this video below. Please make sure to subscribe to my backup channels in case anything happens here. I will begin publishing there. And if you guys have any questions or tips for me, please send me an email at redpill78@protonmail.com. Also, don't forget to make sure that you have notifications turned on for this channel. When you go to my channel page, there is a little bell. Click that bell and choose all notifications. And if you don't have one already, go sign up on Twitter and follow me there and make sure that your notifications are on. Because even if you don't get a notification from YouTube, I always have a notification that goes out on my Twitter page that lets you know every time I put out a new video. I look forward to reading your messages. I look forward to getting the news to you on a daily basis. And I look forward to seeing you all again in the next episode.